I have tried every other avenue of communication for a friggin' year to discuss this. It's not a surprise to me that not many people listened. Because who listens to the mentally ill gay kid who makes shit posts for fun, right? But I need to talk about this. I know what you're thinking, Patch. You're not a minor. And you have a boyfriend. How could you possibly have anything to add to all this? Well, there are many flavors of abuse in this world, and Zachary K's is a Baskin-Robbins of depravity. Looking back at my old chat logs, I realized that I let Zach get away with a lot more than I should have. When you look at them, I seem incredibly compliant. That is very much by design. You see, the first time I met Zach, he was fundraising for a new computer, and I paid to join the stream. I drew fun stuff related to his jokes. He seemed to like me, as did the others. I don't think he cared about me quite yet. We had a few more interactions on Twitter, and one day he approaches me. He said he saw my picture on Twitter, found me incredibly attractive, complimented my body, said I was sexy. I was floored that this person I admired liked me, even if it was for something as vain as looks. He invited me to join the domain, and I accepted, eagerly. Throughout my time with Zach, he behaved very sexual towards me, as he does everyone. Yeah, he'd compliment my relatively shitty art, butter me up, but he was obsessed with remarks about my breasts and with sexual roleplay. He knew I had a boyfriend, but I was so desperate to stay around, I didn't fight back against any of it. I wanted so badly for these people to like me. The promise of a happy career as a Brony illustrator, the promise of long friendships with these people I so adored, kept me docile and compliant. Everything asked of me was done without hesitation because I believed that was the price of Zach's friendship. Complete compliance to his will. But amongst all this, there was one grand gesture that Zach performed that tricked me into believing he was good. He introduced me to Eliora. Eliora, aka Cat, is one of my most beloved friends. Zach introduced us through the domain, and we got along instantly. We're both witches, we both love art, and we're both aggressively against the unfair treatment of the disabled. So when she found out that I was being abused by my mother, we spent months planning my escape. She drove all the way to Ohio to get me. I lived with her for weeks until I flew out to Cali to live with my life partner, Damien. The simple act of introducing me to my liberator kept me enamored with Zach far longer than it should have. This is how it always works. Always. I'm sorry. He finds weak, vulnerable people, and through manipulation and small but influential gestures, he grooms you to adore him. That way, he can take whatever he wants and there's no fight. Whether it's free illustration work, reviews of Zach's half-assed original content, or in the most recent case, sexual favors from a minor. Zach will do whatever it takes to groom you into giving him what he wants. And once he has it, he throws you away. One thing I try to bring up in conversations about Zach is how he asserts his power over you very quickly. The people in the domain misgendered me a lot. I told them when I joined that my pronouns were they, them. I gave up, correcting them very quickly. Because every time I tried, I was talked over or ignored. That was step 1 of 1,000 in the ways Zach and his former friends asserted that I was below them. These little power moves, mocking me for being a gamer grill despite not being a girl. Teasing me on not liking it when they used the R slur. Shutting me down when I tried to talk about feminist issues. They take your power from you. That's what people like Zach do. Eventually, I lost my usefulness and was tossed aside. I had given Zach what he wanted, and my progressive ideals meant I was no longer fuckable to Zach. No, it wasn't the fact that I was taken that deterred him sexually. It was that I thought I deserved basic dignity. So since I was no longer a pawn he could play with, he threw me aside. For the year since then, I have been screaming about how awful this man was. How he used me, how he uses everyone, manipulation, greed, abuse. This is where Zach thrives. Many of his exes came to me and told stories of being pressured into sex, being cheated on, being manipulated. I tried to elevate their voices to let these people be heard, but nobody listened. No one except Sketchy the Changeling, Lily Pete, Eliora, and Aeon of Dreams. Sketchy stayed very close to me after I was banned from the domain, as did Eliora and Aeon, and though I was glad to have them, I felt like my cries of anger were being left unheard. When I turned to Lily, hoping to find refuge, she welcomed me with open arms and gave me sanctuary in her server. She has become one of my most trusted friends and confidants. She encouraged me to get help, to face my issues head on, to put my recovery first. I had finally found a place where I could feel safe. And then all of this happened. Toon was exposed as a sexual predator. And the news made me relive every single moment of his abuse, of his manipulation, his greed. Toon is a sexual predator. Just like Saigai, just like any other sexual predator. People like him are all the same, especially among YouTubers. They use their sub counts and followers and influence as an excuse to manipulate and abuse whoever they want, and so far no one is saying it. People are addressing that, oh, he betrayed his friend's trust, but you need to get your priorities together. He's a pedophile. More than 5 young women have come out about being victims to this bastard's sexually predatory nature, and dozens more have stepped forward about his casual abuse. Exes, young fans, even his closest friends have been victims to this bullshit. But all the Brony community cares about is a betrayal of trust. You all make me sick. Thinking back, there are a lot of things I should have done differently, a lot of things all of us should have done differently, but at the very least I can say I never kept quiet about Zach when it counted. So to Lightning Bliss, Keyframe, Solar Flare, British Ninja, and all the other members of the domain, I am still hurt that none of you stood up for me. That hurt is something that will stick with me for a long time, and the fact that you guys didn't stand up to him for his abusive nonsense sooner is incredibly fucked up. But the shit Zach has just pulled, that matters more right now. So if you need to reach out and talk about this with someone who understands, contact me. To Zach's fellow victims, I extend an arm of friendship and compassion to you. I know how it feels to be used and treated like property, and I am so sorry to all of you. I hope you can recover and move on. As survivors of this abuse and predatory behavior, we have to stick together on this one. We have to stay strong. And Zach, I know you're watching. You'll watch anything with your name on it. Everyone can see you for what you are now. That poor 14-year-old girl has exposed you in a way I never could. Everyone you have ever manipulated, Keyframe, Will, even sweethearts like Joey and Finn, can see the truth now. You're out of pawns, out of excuses, and out of time. Checkmate, you arrogant son of a bitch. I hope you rot in hell.